Yo, what is up guys? Russ here with another walkthrough commentary style video. This time in a 17, the Other Side. You might recognize some of the names in the group. Some of the Pieces boys. Just ran this one pretty casually at the start of the week actually. We were running with some alts, we were running with some mains and stuff like that, but it was super chill. We were on comms and we were just having a laugh really. This one went down real smooth. Probably could have done it on an 18 to be honest, so I'll try and talk through what we did and why and when and stuff like that, and mistakes. I'll point out the good as well as the bad, of course, as I usually do. And yeah, we'll just get pretty much straight into it after I put my talents and gear and stuff on the screen for you. And of course, as usual, I'll tell you to come and watch my goddamn Twitch, okay? I'm streaming most days, 5 days a week, I think. Well, I don't think, I know. 5 days a week, I stream over on Twitch. Come check that out. Also, you know, if you like these kind of videos, before you like close it at the end or something, I'll just remind you right now to, you know, like the video and subscribe and stuff. If you like it, of course, and if you want to see more. Don't let me force that down your throat. I know a lot of people do. But yeah, on with the key. Let's go. So we're actually running a triple melee DPS comp on this key. Probably not the wisest thing ever, but also not the worst. It worked out pretty good. One thing that you'll see us take advantage of is definitely the Unholy DK's anti-magic zone. That ability is so strong, and it's probably why Unholy DK's you know, one of the top melee DPS right now. I'd say I'd probably put Rogue in pretty much like third place when it comes to melee DPS and M+. Probably put like Windwalker and Unholy in the S tier, and then you put like Rogue in the A tier because they bring utility and stuff. But yeah, first pull, we're just pulling all of this stuff. It is Spiteful, and we were talking just before the key started actually that you know, it's really annoying seeing the Spiteful sometimes. I don't know, it feels like their first melee hit always has like twice as much reach or range as their other ones. So just watch out for that first one. It can catch you off guard even with the extra range on Outlaw. We had a Feral Druid, our Feral Druid here, Cybear, Mr. Cybear Slat, who I did some casting with actually for the world first race. Cool guy, check him out. And of course Sheller, you might recognize as well. But yeah, we were talking, and he has like 12 or 15 yard range or something as a Feral Druid. Is crazy. But yeah, we took out that first pack pretty clean. We bloodlusted on it, as you can see. And yeah, just kind of like kited it around. We got DH for the leaps and things. Now onto the next pack. We pretty much we're just kind of doing an interrupt rotation on this death speaker. So we're just calling out interrupts like pretty much only on the death speaker. We overlapped a couple just there, and then we cleaned up comms a bit because we were pretty much just bantering around in this key, to be honest. We weren't taking it super duper seriously, which was kind of crazy because this was an upgrade for me on score and everything. I'd not done a 17 Other Side because the time is pretty harsh on this key, to be honest. But we're just kicking the death speaker. We let the other casts go through. The smaller mobs, I can't think of their name. I think they're called cultists. Yeah. They're going to be casting like the Death Lotus, which is that purple kind of like pretty flower effect they put on the ground, which blows up. All you have to really do is dodge, to be honest. It's completely avoidable damage. Make sure you look for this frontal cone that they do. I think it's Death's Embrace, it's called. Really look out for that one, because I've seen that catch a lot of people off guard. I'll probably do a lot of fast forwarding and things in this key, because a lot of it is just like running around, you know, like that's what I don't like about the Other Side. I really like the dungeon, but I just don't like how much like traveling time there is between everything. So we actually skip this. We jump past this big red dude. It's Fortified, obviously. So these guys hit quite hard. We do have the jar there, and we do have a Night Fae. I believe it's I believe Cyber is the Night Fae actually. So that's our Feral Druid. So we're taking this far pack first. We jump down, and then we're gonna come back for the big dude. And the reason that we do that is like either we can kill the big guy there and get the pride for these two kind of like guards just standing there, you know, waiting the big guys that are enraged and slow and run around and slap the tank. So we can either take the pride on those guys. If we do the big guy, like the big red dude, the masked guy, patrolling guy, and then this pack, or we can take the pride onto the big red dude if we take, you know, if we skip him and take these warlords first. So we opted to go that way. Pretty easy, obviously dodge the blade storms on these guys. What we were trying to figure out actually is we think that dispelling these guys, the enraged. Like obviously you can shiv the enrage of these warlords, right? Our tank was trying to kite them, and I was shiving and Cyber was soothing, and then we figured out, or we thought, I don't know if it's a visual bug, but like looking back on it now, I think that they do actually run faster. Like they get encumbered or slowed, you know, when they're enraged. So it's actually fine to just leave the enrage on them, I think. I think if you shiv it off, like you can see here, I shiv one off, and the one that I shivved seems to be, you know, getting towards the tank a little bit quicker than the one that's enraged. So if your tank's planning to kite them anyway, you might as well just leave the enrage on them and don't shiv it. But if your tank is just going to face tank them, which you might find in pugs, just make sure you do shiv off that enrage. Just know that it's an option. But yeah, if your tank's going to kite anyway, you might as well just leave it on because they run a bit slower and it gives them a bit more, you know, room. One thing to note with the Spitefuls is you'll see as a recurring thing that I do is you can just pop evasion. Evasion's not like that useful as offensive. I mean, it's really useful as a defensive. And you can also see it as like an offensive cooldown because if I pop evasion and the Spiteful is hitting me, I can stay in and I can just tank it. So on this Pride where the DPS is kind of needed, we can just pop evasion and tank the Spiteful and just let it die by itself while we put our damage into the Prideful, right? And now that we have the Pride for this enraged spirit dude, we're gonna try and time the jar to break during his berserk or frenzy, whatever it's called. CC also does affect these masks that he summons, so you can like kidney them, you can blind them, stuff like that. You can gouge them, and they will despawn, or you can kill them. But yeah, as you see there, we interrupted the first rage with the pot, and now we've put down the Unholy DK Anti-Magic Zone for the second rage, which is really good. As you'll see earlier, or you'll see later on, we managed to survive a wipe just because of that ability. It's really strong. I think Unholy DK, I mean, we see them a little bit more now since the MDI, but yeah, they were a bit underrated, I think, in the queues just before the MDI, like a week or two ago, you know. So I'll fast forward all this as we run through the various corridors and stuff like that. So now we're trying to walk towards her car. Just make sure on these Atali devoteds, you make sure you interrupt them. You can use gouge if you stand in front of them, of course. Make sure you're always in front of them when you try and gouge. What I tend to do is like run in circles around the mob until I find their face. If I can't visibly see, you know, where they're facing because of the cluster, like, you know, if it's all in a cluster and stuff. You can kidney them, you can blind them, things like that. Yeah, just make sure you're interrupting the heals on the priest. And what I personally do on these hexes is, like, if you got loads of interrupts, it's kind of okay. You can pretty much interrupt all of this cast because he does like a lightning. He does like a circle of lightning thing. He does a hex. He does a heal, and I think he does one more thing as well. He's like 4 different casts. Oh no, sorry, I think it's 3. Is that lightning discharge? Like, you can interrupt it if you have interrupts. Like, we have a chamois healer, so we got an extra interrupt essentially. We got 4 melee interrupts. Sorry, 5. Yeah, 4 melee interrupts and a chamois interrupt, which is even better than a melee interrupt, right? So, I think that one's 16 seconds as opposed to 18. So, or is it 14 opposed to 18, or 14 opposed to 16, something like that. But I think it's 2 seconds shorter than even like melee DPS interrupts. Yeah, I think it's 14 for chamois, 16 for melee, and 24 for ranged, if I remember correctly. Anyway, just make sure, like what I do usually, if I'm pugging and I'm not on comms and we can't call out the kicks, is actually save my kick always for the Hex's heal. It's like a healing surge, I think it's called. And it's one of the shaman healing spell abilities names. So make sure I always save my kick for the heal, because like if the discharge goes through, not the end of the world, you know, like as long as that person moves out and doesn't cleave people with it, you know, it's just some damage. If the hex goes through, you know, the healer can just dispel it. If the heal goes through, he's going to heal all the way to 4, and then you're going to have to deal with all of those other abilities for a way longer period of time as well, you know? So, I don't know, try and be the player who's like organized, because people do generally just like in pugs and stuff, not on comms, people throw their kicks out all the time, you know? They just throw them away like, oh, something I can kick, I'll kick it. And like sometimes then you don't have any kicks left, or especially in pugs, like maybe you can't call the kicks and you overlap like 2 kicks, so you waste 2 or 3 kicks even on one cast. Then you don't have it for the actual important one, and then you're kind of screwed, and then it ends up slowing you down, right? So just try and be the person that's gonna you know, make the difference essentially. I try and preach that through all of the stuff I make and say on stream and say in videos and things. But yeah, all of this trash is pretty similar. Once you've seen it once, you've kind of seen it all. Just kick the Hex's heals and make sure you kick the Priest's heals. The smites are not a big deal. Don't waste your kicks on the smites. But the Priest does a heal and the Hex does like the healing surge, right? And on these Deathwalkers, they obviously do that little blade stun that you can see right there. You can kind of like treat it the same as those spinning goat guys, the spinning goat kick guys in Mr. Turner's Scythe. You can run in for like 1 tick and gouge it if it's, you know, going the direction they're facing, the direction they're moving. So look where they're moving and then walk in front of them that direction and gouge them. You know, you can take like 1 tick, it's fine. And yeah, you can also kidney them. So what I try and do is I kidney one and I gouge the other, and then I've just taken care of both. And if I don't have one or the other up, maybe I can use a blind on it or something, because you don't really need your blind on anything else right now. So you might as well just chuck it away if you can or need to. So, you know, like gouge kidney or blind gouge, or, you know, any combination of those. And then we're gonna get our pride set up nice and good for the boss. You guys know how pride works at this point. I think I might this is where I vanished this shade to try it out for science. The tank was wondering why it's turned around to like look at him. I don't think it actually hit him. I think when you vanish them, they don't hit other people. I could be wrong, so do not take you know, do not go around and like vanish and let them one-shot your party, because I don't know if that happens or not. I should really be standing in this dome. Okay, I moved into it. But yeah, pretty much, you know, you guys know how pride works at this point. Generally, as Outlaw, I just throw away my cooldowns on cooldown. I don't save Adrenaline Rush ever, pretty much. Like, almost never ever. Like, the only time I wouldn't pop an Adrenaline Rush is if, like, we're just about to finish a pack and I wouldn't get, like, the uptime of it, right? Other than that, like, if I can get the full 20 seconds on it, or even close to that, I'll just use it, because you have so much cooldown reduction with Restless Blades in Outlaw. So we get our pride onto the boss. These guys really carried me on this boss. Like, we're bloodlusting, we're priding. Like, our bloodlust has come back up since the first pull. Like, we did it on that very first pull of the dungeon, didn't we? So timing is good, obviously, and these guys are just doing so much damage. Like, Feraldra is hitting 20k. I know DK is almost hitting 20k, and I'm just sat there at the bottom. Like, I'm not even doing bad damage, you know. Like, I'm almost hitting 10k single target as an Outlaw rogue, and like I look boosted, man. I look boosted. Like, there's nothing I could do. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not gonna say rogues need a buff, because I think they're fine. I just feel like our damage profile, like, is very consistent. I'll give it that. It just feels a bit sad sometimes, you know, that we can't burst really hard. Like, AoE, I think the target cap is a little bit low, like with the 5 targets and not having the burst. I think it's just like burst AoE and burst single target, just burst in general is just really good for dungeons, because you can just pull like a big pull, and as long as you have the damage to burst it down while the tank has its cooldowns up or something, then you're generally okay. Rogue just can't provide that right now, and like Rogue has its other, you know, small like things that make it good or like decent, like stuff like Shroud and stuff like Tricks and stuff like its consistent damage is obviously nice to be there, but it can just never shine, you know, in terms of like the damage. And of course it's a team game, and you know, damage isn't everything, but it would just be nice, you know, occasionally to pop off. I feel like rogues never have this like pop off moment unless you roll like a 5 buff on an AoE pack or something, and like then you're like, okay, I got 5 buff on an AoE pack with Adrenaline Rush, and then and only then are you topping the meters. I don't know, it's so rare, you know. But yeah, I still like the class. I think it's good. I have been thinking about leveling up my mage though, just as a fun little alt, you know, something like that. Anyway, we're moving down to this enraged spirit dude. Same kind of stuff here. Yeah, the rage went off. Our healer died to a mask, I think. And we had no healer for an entire rage, and you can just see the strength of that anti-magic zone. Like, it kept us all alive, obviously except the chamois, but he didn't die to that. He died to natural causes. Yeah, the enraged mask going off on him, but it kept us alive, like with I think no off heals. Like, it was literally just the dome, as they call it, or the anti-magic zone that kept us up through that. So very strong ability, especially if you can use it on, like, you can use it on prize, you can use it on those rage dudes. And yeah, the spirit link, I'm gonna put that down to he was panicking and you know, misclick because he was struggling about the combat res and things. I don't know. He like spirit linked to shade, but yeah, you know, better safe than sorry. I actually took a tick here without feint up. That was really bad. I was considering like, do I cloak this one on these dental drills? You can cloak of shadows the haywire that goes off. So if you do want to stay in, you can cloak it. I'm actually saving it for the next one because sometimes you pull like the bomb, the bomb that does the like oil explosion and self heal. I can't remember. I'll tell you the name when we get there. But sometimes we pull that in with the second dental drill. So I thought like my cloak is a little bit more worth on the second one. However, if you feel like you're gonna take a while, maybe it's worth cloaking the first, and you might even have it back up for second because I think it's only a 2-minute cooldown. So yeah, on this pack, we just I think we were not putting too much damage on the dog. We all called it a target to interrupt each. So I think I was just like, okay, I'll take purple. Our Drew is like, I'll take yellow, and then our DK is like, I'll take orange. And we're just interrupting as much as we can on those, trying to keep them away. Obviously, the increased range on Outlaw is very, very helpful for these blade storms that constantly go out. I was probably putting a little bit too much damage into these headless clients, and I should have been probably focusing the Woof, the dog, a little bit more. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So just try and do that. You can dispel their kind of like run speed. Just interrupt the zaps basically, and hit the dog because the dog does hurt. There's like a unavoidable stun as well on somebody, which is AoE and does quite a lot of damage. And I think it hits the tank really hard. So learn from my mistakes. Do as I say and not as I do. Hit that dog, and yeah, just try and interrupt the clients, and maybe just like stand between the dog and the clients and keep them in your blade flurry range. You've got that big range with the acrobatic strikes anyway. So this pack was a little bit of an oopsie. I think our DK, I don't know if that's an apocalypse or a full army. I think it was an apocalypse. But yeah, we had 2 deaths. I think just from being greedy. They were saying on comms at the time, like, I think we can greed this. So they put down the dome, obviously. I just cloaked it and I was like, yeah, I'm fine, guys, I'm fine. But they put maybe like the dome and the link, like the spirit link, would have been a good enough combo to keep us up there or something, especially if I am cloaking, because then I can, I'm not taking damage. I can just give them my health ball to feed off inside the spirit link or something. Maybe that would have been fine. But yeah, it's a self-cleaning bot, which I thought we may pull with this, but I think maybe because the first haywire went quite badly, we had obviously 2 people having to run back, one being a slow ass DK. So yeah, we just decided to like play it separate, and then obviously we have the stupid Jade, which is stopping everyone from re-stealthing and stuff. Just those robots that come in, by the way, the ones that walk really slowly and blow up. Just CC them, you can mass root them, you can typhoon them, things like that. You don't really have to do anything to them as a rogue. Honestly, they walk slowly and they just kill themselves, so you really don't have to worry about them. Just do not obviously stand in the explosion. And on these lubricators, just like the overarching theme of them, I guess, is pretty much try and coordinate your interrupts. You want to hit every interrupt on them. The lubricates do like an AoE damage to party. If like 1 or 2 goes off on Fortified, it's a lot of damage, and you could potentially lose someone or even wipe to them. So especially if you're risking this double pull, like we're doing now, you really want to be coordinated on your interrupts. I probably wouldn't risk the double pull if you weren't on comms, because if people like overlap interrupts or anything like that, it could go wrong very quickly on Fortified, especially, maybe even on Tyrannical, depending on how good your juggling of CC is between interrupts. So you can see like I start to use my kidney shots when I like, I've got my interrupt tracker there, right? When I see that like we have a lot of interrupts on cooldown, I'm gonna try and like chuck a kidney out or something. I think I kidney here, and it was already kind of like DR, like it had diminishing returns on stuns already, so it didn't actually go through. But you want to like look at your interrupt tracker. Small things like this which can set you out from other players. Keep an eye on your interrupt tracker, and maybe that kidney shot, maybe like a 5-point or 6-point kidney shot, when everyone's got no interrupts and it's going to cast, it kind of just stalls it, right? Like it stalls the mob from starting a cast and getting people worried. So it can, that 6 seconds or something can give you enough time for at least one person to get their interrupt back up, and then they can take the next one when it does happen. Because like as soon as it comes out of that kidney, it's probably going to want to cast again, right? So then you have an interrupt, and then by the time it's finished, being interrupted and like going on cooldown for that because of the lockout, it can you have your next interrupt back up and stuff. And it's cool actually, this new add-on I've been using, as you've probably been seeing through the dungeon, It's called big debuffs. It basically shows like CCs that are on mobs. So you'll see like when I kidney, it shows like a little kidney shot indicator to the right of the nameplate. When I kick, even it shows like the lockout that mob is on while it's kicked. So it kind of like shows. It's a PvP add-on mostly, but I've actually been finding it really nice in dungeons because you can see like when that mob is interrupted. Like if the I think on that previous pack the DH used his interrupt on a mob, and then I can see like how long that mob is locked out from casting from his interrupt, and then I know that like as soon as that clock ticks around, it's gonna start casting again, and I need to be ready with my interrupt, right? So it brings a bit more predictability into like knowing when stuff's gonna be casting again, because you can see like when it's on lockout and when it's CC'd and stuff like that. Like a little bit easier. You should be able to probably be able to see it from your nameplates anyway, but a little bit easier, you know. Make sure, by the way, that you don't get knocked off by those pipes that are blowing oil out. I've seen far too many people get knocked off, especially when it's the healer, and you can't like res them because only mass res works when they get knocked off and die. Just don't get knocked off in the first place. Obviously, just preventative, but especially if you're a healer, healers, listen to me. Don't risk it, okay? I'll slam my table for this. Don't risk it, okay? Anyway, we'll move on to the Mana Storms. I just got roasted recently for saying Maleficent wrong. I think it's Maleficent. So I'm going to go with Maleficent. Maleficent. I don't know. Anyway, just make sure on Millhouse that you're soaking the beams and that you are putting the, you know, when she makes that Z-shaped animation, when she puts, when Maleficent chooses two people to make the Z-shaped thing, just make sure one of you stands one side of the boss and the other of you stands the other side of the boss. You always want basically you want to be standing on opposite sides of the boss, and it will make the Z shape go through the boss, which interrupts the boss and does damage and stuns him. Give the tank a little break, especially when he does his doom cast, you know. Just make sure that you're hitting that. Also, one thing to note is you do not want to kill the boss. He dies he like goes inactive at 10%. You need him to still be active when Maleficent comes down, so that he will do the Shadow Furies onto you, and you can use that to interrupt Ultimate Squirrel Barrage or whatever that thing's called. Because if that goes through, that is a straight wipe. You should be using Feint on that anyway, because you will take at least 1 to 2 ticks of damage, even if you do get the interrupt off. So you see here, I have the Shadow Fury on me, this Aerial Rocket Barrage. Like we got like 1 to 2 ticks anyway. So you need to make sure Millhouse is still alive. He dies at 10%. We left him at 11.2, I think. Just so that he could be up and we could interrupt Maleficent, and then we pretty much instantly killed him straight off, and then she came straight back down, and then we finished her off. So just make sure you're clicking the bombs, make sure you don't finish off either of the bosses actually, because until they're low you need the other one alive to deal with him, otherwise you wipe. You wipe to the Doom thing, and you wipe to the Squirrel Barrage. You need, if you're fighting Millhouse, you need Maleficent alive, obviously, until you know you can one phase the next boss. So you need Maleficent alive for Millhouse, you need Millhouse alive for Maleficent, and I've said that name so many times that I don't even know who I am anymore. Anyway, I'll fast forward until we get to the next interesting mob. So I believe on this pack we're going to pull everything up here towards the pot, if I'm not mistaken. It's just like a Bone Soldier Raptor pack, which is whatever, and then we're obviously going to be kicking. Watch out for those Death Lotuses. Watch out for that frontal, and yeah, usually just hit the Death Speaker, and make sure you're getting your interrupts on the Death Speaker. We didn't have to be too strict on interrupts on this pack, obviously, because yeah, we had the pot for most of it. So after the pot kind of ran out, we're hitting the Death's Embrace, and then we're going to be hitting any of his casts really. Erupting Darkness is that frontal that you really need to be looking out for. So try and have a weak aura for that one. And then, yeah, just sit on the Death Speaker and cleave everything else down. The tank is pretty much kiting all of these packs. Just be aware that they hit really hard. And this goddamn Spiteful, man, just won't leave me alone. I probably could have just run through it with Evasion, but I decided to do a bit of parkour, you know, chuck the hook shot out. And one cool combo you can do to get around Spitefuls is like, I like doing at least if my blade rushes up, I kind of chuck my grappling hook to the side, and then I blade rush back, and it makes like this cool kind of like two sides of a triangle really, really quickly, and like animation, you spin back in. It looks really cool. Anyway, it's the small things that satisfy me. You know, they get me through the day. But yeah, do not die on this corridor, please. Please, 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 please. Just take your time. Do not die on the corridor, all right? The first one is easy. Then you need to wait. It's like crossing a road, you know? You just wait between each segment and do it slowly. You'll lose like 5 to 10 seconds, but I've seen people die on it. It just slows you down, man. Like, just don't die. Look, we had someone die. We had someone die. Of course we did. Of course we did. Just yeah, if you got a priest or something, you know, they can life grip the slow people. But other than that, just take your time, because we lost more than the death. Like, we lose 5 seconds from the death itself, and then we lose the time resing it, and then healing up, and then maybe you want to take food buff. You know, it's just not worth. Anyway, these pools, pretty YOLO, to be honest. You don't really need to know much for these big ones, except for maybe on like bolstering or something. You want to be focusing down the big mob, which is the Elder Horn in this pack. Like, whichever looks like the biggest mob in the pack is usually the biggest mob in the pack. You know, like, it's the Elder Horn, the big goat guy, or it's the matriarch big bird thingy that does the beak peck thing, and they can't be slowed and CC'd and things. So in general, as a rule of thumb, the tank's just going to be kiting. You're just going to be kind of sitting at the back trying to cleave as much as you can. Obviously, you don't do as much AoE damage as good classes, but it's fine. It's fine. And just make sure you kind of spam jump, unless you get the curse dispelled. Like, if you're not getting dispelled, like we have a Shami who's just like slowly dispelling everyone that gets the shimmer dust on them. I pretty much just spam jump in this room until we get towards like the later packs. Like, I pretty much just, every now and then, I've just made it a habit to, like, as I'm walking around, I just press spacebar, because then you can't get the stun, because then you need a spell and stuff like this. So just try and make a habit of just like jumping every 5 seconds or so, like every 4 or 5 seconds when you're in this room fighting the moths. It's whenever you're engaged with moths, okay? Other than that, like, when you're not against moths, you don't need to jump, so it's fine. But you might see me doing it anyway, just out of habit. There you go. You see me just jumping around. Like, I'm just used to it. Like, I don't really trust that. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've been caught off guard so many times by this stun that I just kind of, like, you could make a weaker effort, I guess, as well. But I just kind of make a habit of jumping. If you get a spell, that's a bonus, not a necessity. Okay. So we're gonna go onto the pot here with a big pull, I think. The tank's just rounding everything up, making sure he's got aggro. We have pride here as well. So doing a big pull, taking as many of the small packs as we can, and then our Night Phase is going to pop the pot to stun everything. And we're going to try and hopefully get as much down as we can during the stun. Obviously, we have that DPS bonus. We're chain stunning off the back of it, as you see the capacitatum go down there. The chains, the tank's just going to be kiting, and yeah, we're just going to be basically just slowing it all. We got the slappy hands going from the DK. I look pathetic in comparison as usual. Doing only 10k though. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for Rogue. Yeah. What I do like is when you do the Blade Rush, when you've got Blade Flurry up it, and that one is actually uncapped. But sadly, it's like 20 to 30 second cooldown usually. So, but you know, it's better than nothing. I'll take it. I'll take it. And just watch out for Spitefuls here, of course, as always. I'll just speed us through the rest of the trash because there's not really much to say about it. We will do a shroud at some point down to the end of the platform so that we can spawn our final pride at 100% right before the boss. And then we're going to have Bloodlust up for that. And yeah, we're just going to go in and smork it down. Just be aware that on this last pack there is moths in there as well. So you will need to do the jumpy for the shimmer dust just to make sure you don't get stunned here. Especially if there's like a pride going to be hitting you in the face, you really don't want to be getting stunned there. Then we're going to be doing this last pride. The timer, honestly, like, you think it looks a bit dodgy at this point. Obviously it's not tyrannical, so we're very comfortable with this. But even on tyrannical, having like 8-9 minutes left here is actually fine. I know it's 2 bosses, but they are back to back. And the last one, you know, does take a while, but you know, if you can one phase it, which you hopefully want to be doing, unless you're doing really high keys, yeah, you should be fine. This boss actually kind of melts, like with Pride and Lust. You'll see that this boss just absolutely goes down. It's crazy. And also there's a couple of things which I'll talk about in the fight which you can do as a rogue to make it a little bit easier for everybody else. So as you can see right now, I'm about to pop that juicy 5 buff as soon as we go in. It's gonna be real nice. There it is, dude. There it is. So I get the 5 buff, I get the pride, I get the bloodlust. It's great. At this point, I have 100% already decided. There is no way that I am going in the sky on this boss, you know. I am gonna stay down and I'm gonna cloak. But just make sure that basically, as a general rule of thumb, you want to obviously go up if you get the bomb on your head, go up towards the end of it, and the second that will clear the first set of traps, and the second set of traps, generally you just spread out before they go down, and you just take your own trap. Like the one that you lay down on the position on the floor, that's the one you take. Then if everyone takes their own trap, no one can get confused. You cannot steal anyone else's trap or anything like that. That boss absolutely melted, so I didn't really get to talk about it, but just make sure that when you juggle the arc lightning, you want to be, you know, not getting too many stacks, like anything more than like 3 or 4, like 3 stacks or something on you, especially on Tyrannical, like that's going to really start hurting. So just take a step away and make sure someone else is juggling the ability. And yeah, to not go up, you obviously need to stay down and cloak, but you can only do that one time. So just make sure you choose wisely when is the one that you're going to be cloaking. I obviously did it there because we still had the bloodlust and burst and everything going. If we'd have got a second one, I would have gone up. Maybe on Tyrannical, I would have gone up on the first if I wasn't having such good RNG, and you know, save my cloak for the second or something. But it's there to be used, you know. Now use the time where you're running back from that boss to the last boss. You can use it to, you know, type in party chat if you're pugging, or talk on comms for who's going where. So we don't need to put markers down on this boss or anything like that. I think I'm taking front right, and then the other guys are taking staircases, and the tank and healer usually seem to take front left in my experience. It gets really, really close. One thing to note is try and drop your cosmic purple debuff thingies down onto the like as far away from the center as you can. Try and put them on the edge. I'm doing a bad job here right now. Try and put them like out towards the edge if you can, because you're going to need that space in the middle for the you know, the Master of Death casts, like the left right back thing, left right melee thing. So it's after 2 Master of Death combos that you're going to be taking the portals down. And please do not do what I did here. I kind of like, I don't know, instinctively, you know how earlier in the video I was talking about how I pretty much never save my cooldowns? Yeah, well, this is when it actually bit me in the ass. I was supposed to save my adrenaline rush for this mob, but I accidentally didn't, and I called it out like, guys, I don't have adrenaline rush, I fucked up, I really, really hope we can one phase this, I don't have a potion, and I was just kind of like really, really, really digging deep that I could get this Visage down, because we're taking, you know, 2-on-1 platform, and then the DPS is going 1-1-1 onto theirs. And as you can see here on my weak aura, I just made it. Probably because I rolled that broadside crit buff there. So yeah, don't do what I did, and please do save your adrenaline rush for this phase. As you can see, like 3 seconds, 2 seconds, I'm clicking the totem. Oh, I just got it. Honestly, it's almost never been closer. So please do save your adrenaline rush so that you can one phase the boss. Like, they would have been mad. I mean, we had time. Obviously, we had 4 minutes. Like, it would have been fine in this case. But imagine if you had 1 minute left, or like 1.5 minutes left or something at this point, and you know, you messed it up. That's like straight key deplete. So do save your cooldowns for the Visage. Yeah, you'll probably need it. Obviously, like a lot of it is about like cooldown usage and things like that. So you could use it on pull and then use it later if you have it back up, and you know that you'll struggle with the Visage. Like if it's a low key and you know that you can kill the Visage without cooldowns, like just use it on pull, whatever, you know, and then you can probably use it again when you come back, like I did here. But if you know that it's going to be a struggle, so for me it actually kind of worked out. You know, I got 2 cooldown uses instead of 1 on that boss. But yeah, if you know it's going to be a struggle, which I did know, I just kind of like honestly accidentally popped it. Anyway, that's it. That's the key. Once you come back from that, if you get all 4 totems activated, it's pretty much just repeating the first phase. It does hit quite hard, to be honest. It's quite a healing intensive fight, that one. So just make sure he does on top of things. You can help with like cloak and things like that if you need to. And yeah, pretty much just dodge the Master of Death casts and drop your cosmic debuffs at the side, and you know, just rock and roll, kill that boss. Anyway, guys, that's it. I hope I talked about everything. I know there's been loads of emotes and things popping up on the screen throughout the video. Hopefully, hopefully they haven't been too distracting. It's because this one's taken from a stream VOD. So try and ignore those or love them maybe. So yeah, it's just one of the many fun things you'll get over at twitch.tv/JustRuss. Come hang out, come hang out. Okay. As I said at the start of the video, you know, I do that a lot. That's kind of my main thing. So if you want to ask me any questions, if you want to just hang out, I have a great community over there. So please do join us. Anyway, if you like the video, make sure you like the video. Okay, make sure you goddamn like it. You know, even if you didn't like the video, just like it. Now you know what? If you didn't like the video, dislike it. But tell me why in the comments. Okay, tell me what I can do better because I want to always improve. All right. And if you did like it and you want to see more of this kind of stuff, make sure that you do hit that subscribe button, that subscribe button. You can do the notifications if you want. Leave a comment. Let me know how I did. Ask me any questions. Link a couple of week orders and things down below. And yeah, I'll get out your hair. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully see you on the stream. If not, well, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, until then, peace.